the flaws of traditional economic development that's been done over the last 4 decades. So if you look at North Ayrshire, for example, we were one of these local authorities that went through the post-deindustrialisation period under Thatcher. We saw big employers leave the region. Carol will know this as well from an East Ayrshire perspective. Thousands of jobs lost over the 1980s, and those jobs have never come back. And part of the reason they've never come back is because we just fell into the traditional economic development model. The councils were traipsing about looking for inward investment opportunities, hoping that the inward investment would come, and if it ever did arrive, the benefits would just trickle down to our communities. Well, in Ayrshire, the inward investment never ever came, but if it did come, we know that trickle down economics doesn't benefit our communities, it benefits capitalism and the folk who hold the economic power in our economic system. So we can continue to play that economic game and expect to get different outcomes, or we can look at alternative options, and that's where community wealth building landed on my desk. It landed on my desk because I was looking at the resources that we had as a local authority and wondering how we could actually use them to create a more democratic, sustainable and fair economy. And for me, community wealth building was the means to do that. I was looking at the financial resources that we had at our disposal. I was looking at the physical assets that we had at our disposal, and also the power of our people. And what I mean by people, I mean our residents, but also the vast number of staff that actually work for the local authorities and other public sector bodies, and how that can help shape the local and regional economy. So we started by launching the strategy in May 2020, just a couple of weeks into the pandemic. We'd been working on it for a number of years. And when we launched it, it was an action-orientated strategy. It had 55 actions, and it was developed based on the 5-pillar approach that had been set out by some of the think tanks in this space. So the Centre for Local Economic Studies that are based in Manchester were one think tank that we worked with, and then latterly we've been working with some think tanks in America. What do we mean by plural economy? In terms of community wealth building and our approach to local economic development, it's about not just supporting privately owned businesses, whether they be small, medium or large. It's about democratising the economy, supporting cooperatives, looking at worker ownership alternatives, supporting the establishment of new social enterprises. They are not-for-profit companies because they have a different value base from private sector companies, and they will lock wealth into our local economies. They're not going to up sticks and leave. You're not going to get a social enterprise in Cullinane up sticks and leaving and going to Falkirk. Whereas you will actually get that happening with some of the big multinational companies. So supporting that democratisation of the local economy was fundamental, and kind of runs through the rest of the pillars, to be honest. Financial power was more about long-term investments. How do we can get flows of investment into our local economy? So we're talking there about the divestment of Strathclyde Pension Fund, not just the divestment away from fossil fuels, but actually direct local investments within the regional economy. The members of Strathclyde region pay a wage deferral into the pension fund, and then they see their pension fund being invested in fossil fuel companies, etc. The argument I was making is, let's get a proportion of that pension fund and start investing it in the regional economy that they live and work. Let's regenerate their communities using their membership funds. That can actually create jobs, it can create regeneration, it can shift us on the direction and journey to net zero if we just make the right economic decisions with the pension fund, and it can still deliver a return to the pension fund. The only way to make a return on a pension fund investment isn't to invest it in stocks and shares. There's very many different ways of doing that, and there's examples all across the world, again, of really progressive pension funds divesting and investing in their regional economy. As in Cumbria, we have transferred ownership of the town hall to a community group. We supported them with some money from a community investment fund that we set up. They then secured £2.5 million external funding, and they're currently turning that vacant building back into a productive asset for the island's economy. And that's going to be a tremendous project when it is completed at the end of this year. We'll get loads of examples of that. The other big one that we did was looked at our land and thought to ourselves, how can we repurpose that in a sort of more innovative way? And we had 2 former landfill sites. And we decided that we were going to turn those landfill sites into council-owned solar farms. So generating the council's own energy and then getting a financial return to the council that we could then reinvest in other projects in the local authority area. And we took the business case for that and then imported that into one of our industrial estates as well. So by the time we left office, we'd approved 3 council-owned solar farms and 3 council-owned wind turbines, which were going to generate 277% of the council's energy needs. And we were looking at the opportunities to sell the excess energy to other public bodies like Ayrshire College, NHS Ayrshire and Arran, etc., keeping that money back in the local and regional economy as well.